I get it. You're standing at the edge of the pool, looking at that little greenish water and thinking about the endless cycle of chlorine tablets, the smell, the eye irritation, the time you spend juggling chemicals every weekend. You've probably Googled salt water pool conversion and watched a few YouTubers rave about set it and forget it systems. But you're also hearing the other side of the story. Expensive hardware, tricky installation, and the fear that you'll end up with a half-working setup that drains your wallet. If you're hesitating because you don't want to waste money on a system that won't fit your pool or your lifestyle, I'm going to walk through exactly what the Hayward AQRS325 S3 does, who really benefits from it, and where the value actually lies. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the AquaRite S3 is a complete salt system. That means you get the control unit, the electrolytic cell, and the necessary plumbing fittings all in one box. It's designed for pools that hold between 25,000 and 40,000 gallons, the sweet spot for many suburban homeowners with in-ground pools that aren't tiny but also aren't Olympic size. If your pool falls inside that range, the system can generate enough chlorine to keep the water clear without you having to keep a stash of tablets on the side. If you have a small above-ground pool or a massive commercial pool, you're already outside its sweet spot, and you'd be better off looking at a smaller or larger unit respectively. Let's talk installation because that's where a lot of the anxiety comes from. The AquaRite S3 is marketed as a DIY-friendly kit, but DIY-friendly is a relative term. You'll need to cut a hole in your existing plumbing, insert the cell, and connect the control box to a power source. The wiring isn't rocket science, but it does require a basic understanding of pool circulation and a willingness to work in a wet environment. For a first-time installer, the biggest hidden trade-off is time. You'll likely spend a few hours figuring out the best spot for the cell, tightening connections, and priming the system before you can even turn it on. If you're comfortable with a screwdriver and have some experience with pool equipment, you'll probably get through it without a professional. If you've never touched a pool pump, you might end up calling a plumber anyway, which adds to the overall cost. Now, the practical upside that most people notice right away is the reduction in manual chemical handling. Once the system is up and running, you set the desired chlorine output on the control panel, usually a range from about 0.5 to 5 ppm, and the unit automatically adjusts the current passing through the cell to maintain that level. That means you no longer have to measure out tablets, worry about the chlorine smell that can linger after a big treatment, or chase after cloudy water caused by overchlorination. For families with kids who love to splash, the softer feel of salt-generated chlorine can be a real relief on sensitive skin and eyes. However, the AquaRite S3 isn't a magic bullet. The cell itself degrades over time, typically after 3,000 to 5,000 hours of operation, and you'll need to clean it periodically to avoid calcium buildup. The cleaning process is straightforward, a soak in a mild acid solution, but it's an extra maintenance step that some owners forget, leading to a sudden drop in chlorine output. If you skip that, you might see the water go green or develop algae, and you'll have to troubleshoot the issue, which defeats the set-it-and-forget-it promise. So, the system saves you from daily dosing but adds a quarterly or biannual chore. Another practical point is the salt level itself. The AquaRite S3 works best when the pool salinity is kept around 2,700 to 3,400 ppm. You'll need a salt test kit or a digital meter to monitor this. Adding too much salt can corrode metal fixtures, while too little will cause the cell to produce less chlorine. Most owners find that after the initial fill, the salt level stabilizes, but if you're in an area with heavy rain or a lot of backwashing, you may need to top off the salt occasionally. That's a small ongoing cost, a bag of pool-grade salt, but it's something to factor into the total ownership picture. From a cost perspective, the AquaRite S3 sits in the mid-range for residential salt systems. It's cheaper than the high-end models that come with Bluetooth monitoring and premium cells, but more expensive than a basic tablet feeder. If you compare the upfront price to the ongoing cost of chlorine tablets, you'll start to see a break-even point after about 2 to 3 summers, assuming you keep up with cell cleaning and salt maintenance. That calculation holds true for most owners who run the system continuously during the swimming season. If you only dip in the pool a few weeks a year, the savings shrink dramatically and you might be better off staying